and welcome to Telly Talk. I'm Liv.
And I'm Ben.
And on this episode, you'll hear our carefully considered and not at all random thoughts on a show we like. There will be spoilers.
We're giving ourselves an age rating of 15 and above, but you're welcome to make up your own mind. Listener discretion is advised.
And if you're enjoying our podcast, please do rate, review and subscribe. It really means a lot to us.
If you want to contact us, you can reach us on our socials. We're at Telly Talk Pod on Blue Sky and on Facebook. And you can email us at tellytalkpod@outlook.com.
So this episode, we are armchair experting Married at First Sight Australia, Season 12, Episode 33, Commitment Ceremony, number 7.
Whoa, the final commitment
This
ceremony.
is the last one.
This is the end.
The end.
Only end.
Oh no. I thought I was joining in, but you're doing a different song.
It's the end of the commitment ceremonies as we know it.
I don't know what that is. Is that a song?
Yes.
You just made that up?
Yeah, it is a song. It's the end of the world as we know it.
Who sings that song?
Don't know.
Right.
I probably should know. It's probably someone really famous.
Or something to do with football.
It's not football.
Okay, I don't know it. Anyway, let's get him.
Well, this became a thing.
Jamie and Dave are first up.
Jave! They're back and they're doing all right.
Yes, he's very positive about their relationship, and he seems to have a lot more trust in himself within them.
Yeah, it seems like he's been putting in effort and work and recognising that he needs to show up, demonstrate his feelings.
Yes, I was going to say, actually, it's more than just showing up, isn't it? It's being emotional with her.
Yes.
And he does seem to be doing that. And it's a shame that she has lost some trust.
Yes, absolutely. It does show in their relationship here how powerful trust is as a part of a relationship. And when trust is damaged, that is a hard thing to build back up again.
Yeah, she is struggling. She's very cautious, and I hope she can get there. And it seems by the end of their chat that she's moved some way towards being okay again. But they are in, let's say, a delicate situation.
Yeah, and there is, like with any relationship where trust is broken, there's that question of, can it be rebuilt? Is the damage to the relationship and that trust too far gone?
Yeah, because they start talking about love, don't they? And Jamie actually says that she's no longer in love with him.
Which is a big thing, and that's hard for him to hear visibly.
Yeah, but I wonder how much it's true. I wonder, you can't really turn feelings like that on and off. I would posit to her that the love is still there, but she's maybe feeling too hurt and too scared to access those feelings right now. Yeah,
it could well be that. It's really interesting, actually. Their non-verbal communication on the couch is a real roller coaster journey because they start off with really strong tie signs when they sit down. He's sat with his hand on her knee and they're very visibly connected. And then as they start talking about the more difficult aspects of their relationship currently, they're separate, there's a good half a foot between them, they're not in physical contact.
Do you know who broke that apart?
I don't think we saw. No.
Okay.
I'm presuming it was him sitting and being like, I am serious, and hearing it.
Yeah.
Because it's at the point that the experts are saying, you are different as a couple. We can see your vibe is different. You aren't the same as you were.
Yeah.
But by the end of the conversation, when he's made a very heartfelt declaration and explanation that he knows he has to show up and show emotion and show that he's engaged and all of that, they are then again even more physically connected with even greater tie signs. So it shows the journey that they've gone on in that conversation, not just in words, but in physical demonstration. Yes,
well, they have a very serious conversation, don't they? And he actually does bring tears to it, which he later denies in quite a jokey and loving kind of way.
Nice way to break the tension as well.
Yeah, and he reassures her, and I think that she wants to believe him. I think both of them want this to work, and so I think they've got a really good chance of making it work.
Well, it was really notable, I thought, that Dave said, I don't want to be scared anymore. And I think that's actually true for both of them.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be scared of his emotions, and she no longer wants to be scared of being hurt again.
Yeah.
And that's the crux of their situation right now, is building up that trust on both ends.
Yeah. I agree.
And thankfully, they both stay.
Yes.
And I felt really good about it because I was
Yeah.
worried about them.
Me too. It was quite a nice moment for us to watch.
Yeah, and I'm hopeful that they can, with like the right approach and the right application, build up that trust again.
Yeah.
The concern would be is when they get to the end of the process and they're out in the real world and they don't have people sort of pushing them to show up for each other, will they grow apart? Could it become easier for Dave to shut off and then not have that being held to account and being shoved onto a sofa next to her?
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Well, a way to bring it down.
I'm bringing the real.
You're bringing it down.
Yeah. Well, do you know what's not bringing it down? Rhee and Jeff. Rhee are soaring high as per.
Yeah, there's a lot of confidence between them. They sort of, that's what they bring to the sofa, is they're just so comfortable with each other.
They're just so chill about it all. Like, unlike any of the other couples, they just rock up. They're like, well, this is fine. We're great. Let's just sit and have a chat.
Yes, and the experts ask, I don't know how it comes up, but have you ever had an argument? And Rhee says, no. No, we have good communication.
Hard cut.
Yeah, well, yeah, hard cut to Jackie. But then Rhee continues by saying, I don't always try to be right. And we just talk. And yeah, we see a lot of Jackie here.
They cut to Jackie and Ryan and mostly just to Jackie constantly, like stark contrast.
Yeah.
I get the impression that the producers don't like Jackie that much.
I don't know what's giving you that vibe.
It's because they are constantly calling her out indirectly with their edits. I'm here for it.
But Rhee and Jeff are very mature, and their whole relationship comes across as very mature, and that is in stark contrast to others.
And they actually take some time to properly reflect on their journey during it. And like Jeff takes ownership of his development as part of this process. He credits the show with giving him the opportunity to learn how to communicate better.
Yeah.
He takes the expert advice and the activities that they're put through and says that it's taught him a lot about how to be a better partner. Now, I thought that was a really honest and vulnerable thing to say and taking accountability for. I wasn't great at the beginning and I am better now.
Well, also that's interesting for us because we haven't seen any of that.
No.
Because we're only watching these very specific episodes. I hadn't noticed any change in him particularly.
No.
So it's kind of nice to hear that reflection and that he notices it.
Well, it's interesting because really early on you were very conscious of pointing out that Rhee didn't seem to be as authentic in what she was saying, like, oh yeah, it's fine and I'm reassured.
Yeah, she said the words.
Her face was looking, you said she looked scared and anxious and worried every time that she wasn't talking.
Yeah, that's true.
And maybe that was a manifestation of his communication style or a lack there or something, and they've done the work together and that seems to ring true.
Yeah. Well, they both stay.
They do, unsurprisingly. A slightly less, I'm going to say, positive couple are Beth and TJ.
Yes.
Which is a bit sad.
Yeah, their couch session is very tense and it's been going this way for a few weeks now. And you're right, it is sad because they have been doing so well.
Yeah, and it seems that, to me, TJ isn't into it and he is doing his best to make it so that he's not the bad guy.
Yeah.
Because he is doing his level best to go, there is a connection issue for both of us. And everyone, including the experts and me, are like, it seems to be all you, my friend. But you're lumping everything in. You're speaking for the pair of you. Whereas Beth seems pretty in, and he's not.
Do you think he's trying to be too nice and is ultimately hurting her by not being truthful?
I don't think he's trying to be nice. I think he's trying to not be the bad guy.
Are they not the same?
No, because I don't think he's actually doing it out of care for her. I think he just doesn't want to be seen badly. So like the experts say, there's no room for politicians and this wishy-washy stuff. I just don't think he's got the strength of will or the front or bravery to say, yeah, I'm not into this. It's not working for me, so I'm going to be out.
It's really hard for her because he is sending her mixed messages. And that's what Alessandra calls out. She calls it mixed signals. And it is that. You know, Beth ends up very confused and she says it's like he's flipped a switch. Yeah. He's gone from it being fine to it not being fine.
Yeah, well, Alessandra calls him dishonest. She says,
Yeah.
why have you been dishonest with Beth?
Well, because at the last week's commitment ceremony, he says that to have sex, he needs that deep connection. That week they have sex, so she's interpreting that as great. We've got this deep connection, and then he's pulling back even more than he was before.
Well, yeah, I mean, they eventually nail him down. Like, when they really force him to answer, he wishy-washily says, like, I don't see anything really changing on the feelings front between now and the end of the show. And I think that shows you, like, he knows he's not in, this isn't working for him, but he will not take that ownership of that. He just won't admit it.
You say that, but he actually writes leave.
Which is, I think, is rough, because we saw in the last episode that she directly asked him when they spoke on an aside, like, what are you going to write? Because I don't want to look stupid, essentially. And he would not answer because he knew he was going to write leave.
But she writes stay, so they are staying.
I know, but
But then he says, you can leave if you want. No, that was Jackie.
Yeah, that was Jackie.
Never mind.
Don't confuse TJ and Jackie, honestly. Although, speaking of Jackie, as an aside...
Yeah.
So when him writing leave was revealed, we sort of get a cut of all of the different other participants reacting.
Yeah.
And everyone, including Ryan, are like, oh my God, Jackie, no reaction, doesn't even seem to be paying attention, doesn't register with her. But that just plays in again. That's a consistent thing where she does not give a shiny shit.
She's in her own world thinking about herself.
I don't know whether she just was so out of it thinking about her own stuff she didn't hear it, or whether she just has there's no impact for anyone else's stuff. That's not me, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's just really stark, and the show always put a reaction shot with her in the background or something, and she's never reacting. It's just really interesting.
Yeah.
Not to make this about Jackie, but yeah. Beth says stay, and TJ says leave, which is brutal. I've gone off TJ, as you might have noticed.
I have noticed, yeah.
Adrian needs a word.
Well, Adrian and Athena are next.
Yay!
They seem really relaxed and connected.
Yeah, and in a turn of events, like, I felt that Adrian's initial part of this was quite mature, because they sort of said, oh, how was it? And he's like, yeah, it was good. And the experts are surprised, because they said, oh, I thought you were going to meet her sister. And he said, well, yeah, we agreed in the end, though, that it wasn't about us. It was about me and Athena.
When he said it wasn't about us, he meant him and Cleo.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I thought that was quite a mature thing. But I did see some echoes of old Adrian and Athena in this conversation.
Well, they start talking about their relationship beyond the experiment, and neither of them is willing to move.
No.
I think, to be fair, rightly so.
Yeah.
He says he's got a lot of business still in Sydney, and her whole family, including her son, is in Perth. So this is a big issue for them. It struck me as a problem that they hadn't talked about it.
Yeah, and she reveals why she hasn't brought it up, because she said, I don't want to put my walls up again. I'm enjoying having Adrian light and breezy. She knows that if they talk about it proper, it's going to be a big problem and he is not going to budge.
Yeah, so the experts take this on and they make them talk about it.
Yeah, and it doesn't go up because he starts talking for both of them. He declares that it's going to be fine, that they'll do this, they'll do that, and there's no problem. And she, well, the whole time he's talking, looks distraught.
Well, because he's saying that he's done long distance relationships before and they're fine, and they then ask her how that's going to be for her, and she says, well, you know, I rely heavily on physical touch, so that's going to be a real challenge. And that's when he completely ignores that and just says, we'll be fine.
Yeah, like I said, it was flashes of old Adrian where he's speaking for both of them without having talked, and she looks miserable while he's doing it, and I think she knows it's not going to work.
But the experts pressure him, and eventually he says that he would be willing to move in the future.
Yeah, but I don't believe it. He's not going to move for a year or two. I fully predict that this will be the dooming of their relationship. They'll just completely separate. He won't engage. He's not going to move. You're
so cynical. It's so annoying that, you know, other people don't get a chance to come to these things in time. You're straight in there, bam, they are doomed. No more about it.
Do you not think they're doomed?
Yeah, I do, but I'd like to go more softly about it.
Okay, so you would like me to beat around the bush?
Yes, please, be more British.
Well, maybe they might struggle
Thank you. That's much better.
when he refuses to move.
But for now, they both stay.
Who's up next?
Karina and Paul.
Yeah, Karina and Paul. What do you make of them?
They are tricky because I think they also have some big stuff to navigate, and they seem to be saying that it's all fine, and I just wonder how fine it is.
I don't think it's fine at all. I liked that his highlight was that her mum's said the second most important thing in a relationship is forgiveness, and I've just written, yeah, I bet you like that too, underlined. He was like, yeah, you know all that bad stuff I did? Forgiveness, yeah? And even the expert said, yeah, forgiveness has been a real foundation of your relationship, hasn't it? Of Paul doing a shitty thing and Karina forgiving it.
Well, but then she brings up religion as something that's very important to her. She's been brought up as Catholic, and it would be important for her to bring their children up that way as well. And he says that he's open to that for them in the future. But I think that's a lot of where forgiveness comes from, isn't it? She's been brought up that is the way.
Yeah, and to be fair, religion is a very big, important thing. If one of you is in a relationship is very religious, that is a really important thing to have those conversations about, because that can be quite a divisive thing. If one part of the relationship wants to, say, bring up future children in a certain way and the other doesn't, or, you know, even simple things like the question of, do you get a child christened or not? If you don't talk about those things ahead of time, they can cause rifts.
Yeah, so it's good that they have already been discussing these things. I don't know, it feels like a big thing to have already decided about. I don't know, maybe this is a me thing.
Well, no, I hear what you're saying, and it is a big thing, and based on nothing, it makes me go, has Paul just gone, yes, of course, all of that, without actually the realism of it?
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. How deep have these conversations gone? How much room for manoeuvring is there? Is this a hill she's going to die on, and so he has to say, yes, it's fine?
I can't talk in absolutes about Adrian in the theatre, but you can start referring to hills people are going to die on.
Yeah, fair enough. But they are talking about love and all sorts of things, so, you know, maybe it's going better than I fear.
For a long time, I've had a real lingering doubt about these two, and it's mostly around, well, no, it's not mostly around Paul. There's something about both of them that just makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. There's just something that I don't like about each individual, and it might just be that my instinct is that I don't like them.
Oh.
Like Paul, definitely. But I don't know, they're dynamic. There's something there that for me just
there's something that doesn't quite feel right.
Yeah, there's just like a little instinct. My Ben intuition, my Ben tuition, if you will. But they both stay.
Yep.
But that means, who are we on to next, Liv?
This is our final couple. They're the last ones up tonight.
Jackie and Ryan.
Yes.
Yeah. I called this in episode 1 of our MAFS Australia coverage.
Which you love to talk about.
I do, but the thing is, my instinct isn't always on point, but this one, 100% on point. They have been a shit show.
Yeah, Ryan comes straight in with the, I haven't had a partner, I've had a critic. And from what we've seen, he's absolutely right.
Do you know what? I think the situation here is really interesting, because I was reflecting on the dinner party and his big public raising of concerns, because he took that opportunity to really go, I have brought these concerns to the group and they've seen all of this.
Yeah.
Even though they have all seen all of this already and they're all on his own.
They've been wondering what the hell he's still doing there.
I think I saw this on reflection as him publicly torpedoing those bridges, like trying to torch this relationship in a very public manner, so there is no way that he can go back. He's too accountable to the group and the public now, so he can't be tempted back. So it's almost like he knows that she keeps pulling him back in one way or another, and he's publicly done this to try and go, I cannot come back now.
Yeah.
Like sort of almost a fail-safe against future self.
Yeah. Interesting.
That's my perception, because he talked about now everyone's seen it, now everyone's this, everyone's that. And it spoke to me of public accountability and almost like an insurance policy.
Well, we don't see Jackie's behaviour changing in all of this, because the first conversation that he's having with the experts, she starts laughing again, inappropriately.
Oh, yeah.
And John calls her out, which I was really pleased about.
Yeah.
But she still doesn't really seem to get it.
At no point does she accept anything that anyone has said, like just cutting to the end after her talking head after everything, and we will talk about it. But like, she goes back to everything that she started this conversation saying. She has no appreciation, no acceptance of any feedback. It's Jackie's way or the highway.
Well, and she blames Ryan for not compromising.
Oh my God, yeah.
And then John asks her for some examples of when she's compromised. And I love this because he says, all your examples are, and he pauses and he goes, niche.
Well, that's a triggering word for her, isn't it? That triggers the biggest performative wailing blubbering that I've ever seen, with no tears.
Only Ryan seems to believe her.
And even then he says, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
And I'm not laughing at the distress of someone, but I don't believe it.
I know.
It seems completely inauthentic. It's very performative. You can almost see the switch in her brain where she goes, this is going wrong, I need to.
Yeah.
And then, bam, very explosive. She even sort of stumbles John, who sort of staggers in what he's saying and lets her just explode. It's so strange because he lets her have that list of like, I've compromised on sleeping times, general cleanliness, and whether he can watch TV, but then proceeds to criticise and complain about him watching TV in their room.
Yeah.
So she's let it go, but she really hasn't.
Yeah.
But, Ryan is the one that won't budge, and that she does all the compromising. But she doesn't see him as a project.
No.
And it's like...
It doesn't add up.
It's so baffling. So baffling. And like, they call her out and say like, you said to him, why don't you want to be great?
Yes, because they heard that was at the dinner party.
And she's like, well, yeah, why wouldn't he want to be great? I done nothing wrong. I'm so baffled, because she's like, I complain about things that are perfectly normal. And then we get down to the real things that she's hung her hat on, which are her being criticised by his friends.
Yes.
And him not defending her or stepping in.
Yeah.
She says that he shouts and screams at her.
Yeah.
And there was something else that... So there's a few things.
And she's not going to accept these behaviours.
Oh, yeah, he won't compromise about anything. He won't budge on anything. And she says, these are fundamental, they're unacceptable. I accept him for him, but I won't accept those. Which is confusing in and of itself. This is the problem with Jackie. Her statements are completely, empirically different. Like they exclude each other, but she acts like they work together. Do you know what I mean?
Well, if only you could be inside Jackie's head, and then it would all make sense.
I do not want to be inside Jackie's head. I literally shivered.
Well, eventually she agrees that she is being unrealistic, but she does nothing to move towards being more realistic.
I found it really interesting that the expert said, we have seen you being unreasonable for the whole experiment.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you ain't called it out yet.
Yeah.
This is the first that she's had any pushback. Every time they come to the sofa, you rail on Ryan and make him apologise.
Yeah, because again, I'm thinking, poor Ryan, you've let him suffer without saying anything up until now.
And she said, I've only just heard about your hurt. That's why I'm staying. He's like, why are you making me stay?
Yeah, because he says leave.
Yeah.
And she says stay. And then we really see her going up a gear in trying to bring him round.
Yeah, because she says, like, you can go if you want, but I just want a conversation. I've been trying to have a conversation with him. That's all I want. I was trying. And I'm like, well, you did manage to pull him aside and you didn't get the answer that you wanted, so now you're going to hold him hostage.
Yeah.
I still think that she understands now that he is not interested.
He's checked out.
I think she is now positioning herself. She's very clearly positioning herself as the wrong party, that he's abusing her, he is misogynistic and sexist, and that she's the wronged party being bullied and he wouldn't move. I think she's keeping him here deliberately so that she can try and have her big moment at vows. That's what's going to happen. She's not going to plead for him. She's not going to try and fix it. She is going to try and drop
eventually he agrees to talk. So I'm not sure if they'll make it all the way to vows. Like, if this talk doesn't go well or whatever, he might just leave.
He might.
Because is he going to hang around for that? He might know that's coming as well.
What's going to be really interesting is, and we'll mention it now, because in the preview they show that they're doing an extra test or an extra process at the end here, which is a first time ever, which is offering the individual participants a chance to meet another compatible match that they had at the beginning of the show. So they go, you can go on a date with someone who...
An alternative.
And you're given the choice. Are you curious to see who you could have been matched with? Here's what you could have won. And I'm going to be really interested to see what Jackie and Ryan do with that, if they make it that far.
Well, what's sad about this, and I've literally written, what? We see that Rhee says there's absolutely no way that Jeff goes. And we know from the clip that he does go.
Yes.
That's going to be very interesting for their relationship.
Yes, and you speculated that you wondered if they were largely the reason that this test was in place to try and...
And with the partner swap, like, they've been so stable. I think the producers have tried to do something to get some of these more stable couples to experience some adversity.
I mean, to be fair, if you can survive as a relationship being forcibly made to live with Jackie for 3 days, I think you're bulletproof at this point.
Apparently not.
Well, we don't know how it affects their relationship.
No, well, the very fact that he's gone, I think, is going to cause some issues.
Maybe, but they might well talk it out like reasonable humans.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see.
The thing about the whole process of this, who could you have matched with? Like, meet your other one. That feels like it's moving, like the stay with another partner week.
Cast out and more styly.
Yeah, it feels very Love Island-y. It feels less psychological social experiment. And along with the forcing them to live with another partner for a bit, it feels very game showy / artificially producery.
Yeah.
It feels artificial.
Yeah.
And designed for controversy really blatantly.
Yeah.
And, like, I guarantee you, if the experts were doing this, they wouldn't have done either of those things.
If they were in charge, you mean, rather than being producer-driven.
Yeah, it shows you really clearly they've pulled the mask back. The experts are just talent.
Well, the thing is, otherwise, we know exactly how this is going to go. Jackie and Ryan are not going to succeed at Final Vows. Nor would Beth and TJ, and everyone else probably would. That's going to make for a very boring Final Vows. So they've injected this to try and bring some caution and some uncertainty.
That's going to be interesting, actually. Like, let's just take a moment to think. Like, we've only seen a couple of snippets in the preview, but, like, Jamie and Dave, do you think either of them are going to take up the option?
I don't know. And I don't really want to think about it because I don't want to spoil it.
Okay. Just before we finish off, I just wanted to double back to Jackie and Ryan and just touch on again, like, the last thing we really see from them is Jackie in a talking head looking slightly manic.
Yeah.
And she's just reiterating, he needs to step up. I've not done anything wrong. He has shouted at me. He has demeaned me. He hasn't stood up for me. And she seems to be saying he needs to step up and prove to me. And I'm just, oh my God.
She's completely missed the point again.
It's quite scary, actually.
And it just shows you could have the best therapist in the world, but if you're not willing to look at yourself, then you're not going to make any progress.
Therapy, counselling, any of that sort of thing only works if you are willing to engage.
Yeah.
And she is not willing to engage.
No, she is pushing all of the issues between them onto him.
I think the experts know that perfectly well, and that's why John made her keep on with that really trivial list of her compromises, just to go, look, like, we have done our best. This woman is unworkable. I think that's it. I think they're just like, well, it's just beyond our pay grade at this point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the episode.
What are you going to rate it, Ben?
I am going to give it a solid 6 completely oblivious monologues out of 7.
The Jackie oblivious monologues.
Yeah. What made you think it was that, eh?
Well, it could have been TJ at this point.
Yeah, I suppose he didn't really monologue because he was really short. The amount of times he was like, sorry, what question are you asking me
I
to
know
answer?
he was just not listening.
I think he was just giving himself time to form an answer. But yeah, it was a good episode. It was really interesting. We didn't have too many throwaway couples. It was a real engagement with pretty much all of the couples in one form or another.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. And of course, the Jackie Ryan explosion was interesting to see. It was fascinating. I am apprehensive for the final dinner party because stuff is going to have gone down.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Are you?
Yes.
I'm scared.
Well, is the dinner party next or is it final vows next?
It's dinner party next. It's just before the final vows. So the episodes go final dinner party and then the next 2 episodes of the final vows.
Right, okay.
So I'm imagining that our next episode's going to be the final dinner party.
Yeah.
And then we'll have an episode covering the 2 final vows episodes.
Okay.
The 10 minutes of relevant new information that there'll be across those 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And then we'll figure out there might be a final episode on the reunion if that's any good.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we're nearly there.
Yeah.
Don't
you want to know what I've rated it?
Yes. I presume that as I've rated it highly, you've rated it like a -4 or something.
How rude. No, I've given it 7 out of 10.
Oh.
Yeah, it was okay. It wasn't very dramatic. Like, Jackie and Ryan's thing's been coming for a long time. There's still no end to it. Like, he's trying to leave, and she's just, I don't know, trying to drag him back by a frayed rope at this point.
I'm not going to lie, my rating probably gained a point or 2 for my own smugness at being right about a lot of stuff.
I see. Yeah.
So, you know.
Well, and Beth and TJ's stuff is just disappointing. Like, it was sad, but it's not. It's 7 out of 10. That's all I can say.
Yeah, well, it's not a bad scale. It's just there's almost a meh.
We've had
rating.
some great ones recently, and this just wasn't as good as them.
I think I appreciated a relatively stable episode for once because I could just enjoy the show that was Jackie.
Yeah. And that's it. We're all done. For now.
For now, I was going to say, yeah, we've just said that we're going to do some more episodes.
No, I meant this episode is all done.
And that being said, that's all, folks.
If you have the time, we would really appreciate it if you could rate, review, and subscribe. It would really mean a lot to us. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.
Toodles.